Hello everyone. This week we're doing the male reproductive system and we're going to do it a little bit different this week. So I've been looking at the statistics on the videos and not very many people are watching them, which is totally fine, I understand. But I'm not going to do stuff that you're not going to watch, so I'm hoping by doing a summary this week that we get a little bit more out of it. So the main thing to take away from the transition so far, and I've had a few questions on this, is that the textbook is still valuable, but the text is not going to help you in the quizzes. And it's not going to be the wording, basically, that you'll find in the quizzes. And so there's a lot of good information in the text, and there's a lot of good pictures. But as far as the format that I'm able to do on this final, it's going to have to be the software. And so we're limited with that. But I still wanted to go over a couple of pictures here. So when we look at the male anatomy, this is a picture that I think is a good one to look at because we've got three different regions of erectile tissue. And so the Visible Body app doesn't show this, and I think this is important to see, or it's a good way to see it. And we're going to have what we call the corpus cavernosum and the corpus spongiosum. So we've got two cavities of corpus cavernosum, and those are going to be the erectile tissue on the anterior portion of the penis, and then we've got the corpus spongiosum. Excuse me, I said that backwards. The corpus cavernosum is on the posterior of the penis, and the corpus spongiosum being on the anterior. You can see that corpus spongiosum surrounding the urethra. You can see that corpus cavernosum surrounding the deep artery. The other picture that I like is this one where we get to see the epididymis. So we talk about the epididymis in the visible body, but you don't get to see it broken down like this. And I really like here where you can see each lobule within the testes. Now around that we've got different layers of connective tissue, the tunica vaginalis, the tunica albuginea, and then inside of there we've got these little tiny tubules, these convoluted tubules, we call them the seminiferous tubules. So when we have semen production or sperm production, we start in that seminiferous tubule. And so let's see if we've got the slide handy right here. So this is the inside of a seminiferous tubule. This is a cross-cut section. So you look around the outside there, you can see some more connective tissue, and then you're going to see these sperm, and there's a really good picture that breaks this down in a way that you can see this. So this is inside of there, and you can see that there's a spermatogonium on the outside. That spermatogonium then runs in or moves towards the inside, and we turn into a primary spermatocyte. Then we divide and we become a secondary spermatocyte, and then we go through meiosis II, where we become a spermatid, and that spermatid goes through spermiogenesis, and we become a sperm. And so that's what we've got here. If I could put those two side by side. So you've got that exact same process happening here. On the inside, you've got the sperm right after spermatogonia. So you're going to have 2N out at the periphery, just like this right here, out of the periphery. Then you're going to move in one layer. You're going to be a primary spermatocyte. So now we've got a primary spermatocyte. That's going to be around in this, the darker ones here. And then you can see that you're going to become a secondary spermatocyte, spermatids, and then sperm themselves. So this picture is really hard to see that on, but I think this one gives you a good idea that we're going from 2N to 2N to 2N. Now what that means is we've got 46 chromosomes in those 2N. So 1N would be 23 chromosomes. So up to meiosis I, we are 46 chromosomes. At that point we divide and we become half of our genetic makeup. That way when we become a sperm, 23 chromosomes joins with the egg, and now we're back up to 46. So the egg would have 23, the sperm would have 23. We unite those two things together, we end up with 46. And so that's the important thing I think to see here. This is what it actually looks like. Not as valuable when you're first learning it, so I think this picture is the one that I would recommend studying because it'll give you at least an understanding or an ability to grasp that concept. So that is what's taking place inside of this picture. Here's the testes or the testicle. You've got that seminiferous tubule, and you've got different lobules there. Those seminiferous tubules, you've got that sperm. The sperm is produced, and then it heads down that tubule towards that structure. You can see the ret testi. That's that almost looks like an afghan or some type of a web there. And then we head into the efferent ductules and we go into the epididymis itself. We divide that epididymis into the head, body, and tail. Now we have to hang out in here for a period of time. So sperm will not fertilize an egg unless the maturation process occurs. I always laugh in my head because I picture this like those Cheez-Its commercials where they are doing the cheese head and they come and check it and they tell a joke and it's just a little too soon, so they tell the cheese it's not ready yet. And that's kind of how I see the sperm in the epididymis here. It's just not ready yet. It's got to hang out inside of the epididymis there for a couple of weeks. Then we're going to head down from the head, body, into the tail, and now we're going to ascend up the ductus deferens. Now that ductus deferens has a nickname, the vas deferens. So if you've had a vasectomy or if you've heard of a vasectomy, that is when that ductus deferens, aka the vas deferens, gets cut. And you can see that going up through the spermatic cord. And if we were to find a picture of the sideways anatomy of the male, you can see here, there we get to see the vas deferens again, where it goes up and it joins in with the seminal vesicle, the bulbourethral gland, and the prostate gland, where we can produce the product that is ejaculated. So this is a good picture. So it shows you the rectum, the bladder, the pubic symphysis. Now we can see those erectile tissues again. So we've got the corpus spongiosum. That corpus spongiosum is going to be on the anterior. Now, a side note, anatomical position of a penis is erect. So you have to imagine that the anterior on this picture is actually looking as if it's the posterior, but anatomical position, just like palms facing forward, penis is erect. So we've got the corpus spongiosum, and then you see out towards the tip, it enlarges, and we call that the glands of the penis. So the glands of the penis is made of that corpus spongiosum, and then we've got the corpus cavernosum, which you can only see one side of it, and that is going to be the posterior portion there. Let's see if there's anything else we want to get out of these pictures here. I think we're good. This is another good picture. This shows you all of the accessory glands along with the urethra. So on male, remember we get those three different parts to the urethra. We got the prostatic urethra, the membranous urethra, and the spongy urethra. That spongy urethra you can see running right through the corpus spongiosum. You've got the seminal vesicle. You've got the ampulla of the ductus deferens or the vas deferens. Then you're going to follow that down through the prostate. We've got the ejaculatory duct right there with the prostate. We're going to go through that membranous urethra. Now we've got the bulbourethral glands joining in, and then we get down to the spongy urethra and all the way out to the glands and tip of the penis. So now we're going to leave that alone, and we're going to go to the visible body. So basic overview, I'm not going to go through any of these slides. I think you can do that on your own, and like I said, nobody was watching the videos, so I want this to be valuable to you and not something that's just so long that you can't get through it. Very good videos, so go ahead and go through here. If you have any questions, here's the testy histology. So now we can see the seminiferous tubules, and these are the pictures they're going to give you. And so this is spermatogenesis. We're going to see that process of going from the outside towards the inside, where we get that tail, that sperm tail, then we go to the epididymis and mature. So hopefully these pictures are useful to you. Spermatogenesis, this video on spermatogenesis, that is perfect. It will describe everything I just talked about perfectly. Everything else here is just going to break down the individual parts here of the male reproductive system, all the way down until we get to the hormones, where we're coming from the pituitary gland. So this is the anterior pituitary gland, which is right below the hypothalamus. So we're going to have the hypothalamus sending hormones to the anterior pituitary pituitary sending hormones to the testes, and then the testes are going to produce testosterone or other things that are needed at that time. Everything else is going to be female from there, so we'll get to that next week, and we will talk to you then. Have a great week.